Kia ora, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ultimate Growth Experience. To those who are new to my channel from previously Caleb's podcast, thank you all for joining me today. It's an honor to be able to talk to you all through this video. This is a few minute clip to address the points that some of the people raised in Caleb's podcast. So, am I a neoliberal? Yes. Am I not a neoliberal? Yes. So what does that mean? It means that I support the reforms made by my good friend Don and also Roger Douglas in the 1980s. And I also support what Paul Keating and Bob Hawke did in Australia. I would have supported what Ronald Reagan did in the 1980s, and I also would have supported what Margaret Thatcher did in the United Kingdom. Now, I would like to address specific areas within what they did that I agree with, but I also am aware of the unintended consequences of this. So I addressed few elements about this in my previous video, my book review of The Case for Trump by Professor Victor Davis Hanson, from a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution. So the benefits of neoliberalism is that, one, the idea was obviously privatization, deregulation, free trade, and opening up into markets, right? The benefits to all of this is the fact that consumer goods are far cheaper, it incentivized innovation and productivity in a lot of the private sector, and thirdly, it made public sector areas far more efficient. As much as a lot of people may disagree with me on this, I think this is one of the best things that the neoliberals did at the time. And I'm a neoliberal in that regard. Saying that, what happened as a result of deregulation and opening up and privatization? Well, if you privatize parts of the public sector, it means a lot of people lose their jobs. Because you're trying to clear it up, you're trying to reform, you're trying to start clean slate in the public sector. So as a result, unemployment went up in the short run. First point. Second point. As a result of the unemployment and as a result of, for instance, free trade, which means offshoring and outsourcing of jobs into, for instance, Mexico from the United States, or from New Zealand to Indonesia, or to Bangladesh or Vietnam, or in the context of the Australians, the same thing to low-wage countries like China. Okay? This is not a good or a bad phenomenon, because this means more people in those developing countries get to upskill themselves, learn skills, how to manufacture these goods and services, and it broadly benefits most people. We get cheaper consumer goods, and then they get to produce these goods in that manner. But saying that, here are the unintended consequences. I've addressed parts of this in my Victor Davis Hanson video, the book that I've reviewed, The Case for Trump. I'm hoping to do more book reviews as I develop the channel far more. I'm moving to a new flat next week, so it's going to take a little bit of time, but I will eventually get up. I've been reading a lot of books lately, actually. So, here's what I think that the 1980s revolution missed out. Okay? First of all, according to the Brookings Institution, this resulted in a lot of people in the manufacturing sector not able to get back to work. They only had between a 10 to 15% retraining rate. So what does that mean? It means 85% of people in not only the United States but also around the world who used to be in the manufacturing industry within the developed world have not been able to find employment. Why is that? Because they were probably far older than they were to be able to get retrained, or they didn't have the will. And also, the government did not provide enough support for these people to be able to get back into work. This is why I am sort of worried in what has happened. The reason why Brexit and Trump and populism, all of these things accumulated together as a result of not addressing these people's concerns. The neoliberals were correct. We absolutely needed reform. And that is why we won the Cold War. That is why smartphones, laptops, all of these consumer goods are far cheaper for everyone around the world. And as a result, This is what led to what Steven Pinker calls enlightenment now. We've had extreme poverty drop to 10%. We have more people getting out of poverty. We had more people getting more nutrition. We have more people having access to vacation and better job opportunity. All of these things did happen. It is undeniable. Progress and human progress was accelerated as a result of free markets and free trade. The element that we missed was that core segment of the population that were not able to get employment again. These are the people that what Hillary Clinton defined as the basket of deplorables, as much as demeaning and narcissistic and condescending that comment was. And these people decided to vote for Trump because Trump said, we're going to bring back tariffs, we're going to bring back nationalism, we're going to bring back economic nationalism, we're going to stay away from what these advocates of globalization like Thomas Friedman and other people did. Is Donald Trump right to address those sentiments? Absolutely. Is a solution gonna work? Absolutely not. This is what I mean by when I say that neoliberalism is both a fundamental success and fundamentally important. But also we missed out, and I mean the developed world missed out addressing these people's concerns. There are 2 books that I recommend to people who are from Caleb's channel, who are into my channel, to understand this deeper. You can't just go out and say, oh, everyone is a neoliberal, no. You have to understand the cruxes of what, how, when, and how this all carried out. Before, I used to be like you. I told Caleb I used to be a Bernie Sanders guy. I'm not anymore. Because we live in such a globalized world. We live in an era of global value chains and supply chains. You cannot eliminate it. If we try to return to complete, hyper-nationalism, and I don't mean that in the ethnic sense, I meant in the globalized sense, you're going to get far more expensive goods and everyone's going to lose off. So we need to find a balance. The 2 books that I'm going to recommend now. Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone and Professor Charles Murray's book, Coming Apart. This talks about the inequality. The Robert Putnam book talks about the fact that civil society has declined, more people are not communitarian, we've become so individualized that we don't even know what to do regarding socially. And this applies to people that were in these manufacturing states that have lost meaning in their lives. Their community's all gone. So obviously they're going to be depressed. It makes so much sense. And Coming Apart talks about specifically the income gaps between the wealthy and the poor, except the wealthy are the white-collar investment banking, these sorts of jobs, and the people that live in the urban regions, versus the people that have stuck in these manufacturing areas. These people have far more chances of being opioid and being addicted to drugs and being getting divorced, all sorts of social ills. And this is because of what the 1980s did. It's tragic, it's sad, and unfortunately the people in the liberal elite did not deal with this problem. But what the elite did, or what the government did in the 1980s, it was fundamentally necessary. People don't understand that bit. We need to deal with the unintended consequences. We must. Because these people are getting sick. These people are getting tired of globalization. I am an advocate of globalization, but I'm a pragmatist. I believe in globalization, but we definitely do need to deal with the ills that these people have faced. That is why I am a neoliberal, as Caleb described me. But I'm also someone who understands the unintended consequences that this has caused, and we need to deal with it somehow, because otherwise populism is going to get stronger, And we're going to see a far more polarized political system. And we're already seeing that now. It's not just because of globalization and just because of what people describe as neoliberalism. I mean, for me, it's just sensible free market reforms, which was necessary. You may disagree with me on this, but I addressed my perspective on why I think it is still a broad success. And it is a broad success. It made central banking far more efficient. It made the public sector far more efficient. It made people far more fiscally conservative in terms of public sector issues, eliminating reckless spending. So it was fundamentally necessary, in my view. You can disagree with me on that. But anyway, I will link my Victor Davis Hanson Case for Trump book in the link in the description. And I'm not an advocate of Trump. He's too much of a protectionist. He's too much of a nationalist that I don't think has benefited the world. I mean, look at how he's dealt with coronavirus, for God's sakes. But saying that, I think that I've broadly explained the reasons why populism and why you could say the neoliberal movement led to populism. It's because of these people that have been left behind, and we need to do a far better job. And this is going to get fundamentally worse as a result of coronavirus. I can tell you that one. I mean, a lot of people losing their jobs, a lot of people losing their small businesses. Yeah. So Trump is not the solution. He's a symptom of the problem. Thank you for watching my video. Like, share, comment, engage with me. Thank you, and I hope you have a good day.